All right, and welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Strange Planet Podcast. And for this week, we are going to be talking about the DNC, which was all this week and it just ended yesterday. And I got to say, not only was there a variety of people to show and obviously family members, but the one thing I did notice is that at the DNC, one major thing that you saw was Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and obviously Joe Biden. But you didn't really see that when it came to the RNC. I mean, George Bush is alive, right? But yet he did not endorse him. Isn't that interesting? And even all that aside, one thing I will say is there was plenty of policy and there was plenty of knowledge being shed throughout the entire event. All the speakers I feel like spoke really well. And I feel like Kamala's speech at the very end that topped it all off was like the icing and the cherry on the cake. But before I say any more, how did you guys feel about the DNC last week?
So, in contrast to the Republican National Convention, the Democratic Convention was above and beyond, like more professional,
Yep.
more joyous, more positive, more policy oriented. Um, the mood of the convention, instead of being, angry and vindictive, it was, upbeat and, celebratory. Now, if you think back, like, a month ago to the RNC convention, it came after the Trump assassination. There was somewhat of a somber mood leading up to the convention because, a former president was shot and then someone died at his rally. And it was sort of a moment in America where things were serious and somber, and there was a great outpouring of sympathy for Trump. And he took that and put on a convention that was absolutely like trashy. It was negative. It was, even his speech, it started off good when he, explained, how he walked us through what, happened during the assassination attempt. And then it just devolved into, his regular, America first, but America is also a shithole like
Right.
speech, and just like, attacked and didn't, sort of project a message of unity and respect for all Americans. In contrast, you had Kamala Harris and the whole roster of Democratic presidents, as you said, including Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, current President Joe Biden, Michelle Obama, Oprah.
The list goes on.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, and they
on.
all spoke so terrifically too.
And they all like gave such magnificent speeches that, spoke to, America's optimism and future. Yeah, of course, you want to contrast yourself with the other side, and they took, some shots at Trump, but for the most part, it was a very it was very candidate oriented in terms of praising not only Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, but also, celebrating the legacy of Joe Biden and great work that he's done during the current administration.
Right.
And, I guess Trump didn't really want to talk about, his past accomplishments, probably because he has very few of them.
If any.
But, he spent a lot of time focusing on negativity and doom and gloom, trying to separate Americans, divide them, racial lines. Well, I'll give him credit. He didn't talk too much about gender. We talked about gender at the Democratic Convention to remind folks that, yes, they got rid of Roe v. Wade, and yes, they want a national abortion ban. It may not be front and center, but that is something that the Republicans in Congress are trying for, and is part of the rights agenda. They're not satisfied with getting rid of Roe v. Wade. They want
right.
So I don't know, Mark. What did you think of the convention in contrast to Republicans?
Like you said, definitely the energy was a lot better. It was more hopeful, more just looking towards the future. Definitely, like a lot of the speakers spoke well. Everyone had their nice jabs at JD Vance and Trump and everybody on that end. I mean, I love what Michelle Obama said. I forget the specific term, but it was just like she used what was the term? She talked about not having affirmative action for like rich people. It was something along those lines, and just the framing of it was beautiful. So I was like, in 5 words, he just described how things are in this country.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, all the speakers did a great job. Obama, I mean, Kamala Harris tonight did a great job. I'm actually starting to really like Jim Walsh. He's really awesome,
Jim
man,
Walsh?
for VP. Yeah. Oh, what did I say?
I think you said Jim, man.
Oh, Jim, Tim, Tommy, Timmy, whatever. It's all the same stuff. But yeah, I mean, I like him. I like his fire, his energy, man. He definitely brings a little pep to our step. But
and he seems like a wholesome guy too,
Yeah,
he really does.
He's everyday average kind of, it's coach. It's coach. What's up, coach?
Right? Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm definitely more confident than I was after the first debate. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Joe Biden, a lot of the stuff he's done, but you could feel he was getting tired, and it wasn't looking good for everybody. So fresh meat on the table. I like where everyone's head is at coming into it, and I'm really hopeful come election time that America will do the only thing they should do in voting for Kamala Harris.
I agree.
What?
I was going to add one of my favorite highlights before I forget is Bill Clinton when he talked about he contrasted Trump, who he said he sounded like I forget, maybe it was like an opera singer or something warming up, and he went me 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 me. And then he's like, tomorrow Kamala Harris is going to be about you, and you.
Right.
Like I thought. Like Bill Clinton still got it. Like,
no, definitely.
He just you could tell, he's getting older, but he was like, you know what? I'm still younger than Trump.
Right, pretty much.
He looks good, man. He lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, he lost a lot of weight. He still has that charm, and he's able to deliver his lines. I think that was like the big thing with Biden. Biden. He was never as good a speaker as, say, Bill Clinton or Obama.
Right, that's true.
Hard to top to begin with. But
yeah, that's raising the bar pretty high. That's for sure.
He also had a speech impediment too.
Right,
and so he was never the stump speech, kind of guy. Whereas Obama, had the soaring rhetoric and could just like inspire. And Bill Clinton, who could talk to people like just like a normal person and get them to like empathize. It's just like Biden didn't ever have that. And he was also starting to lose his ability to just like deliver lines effectively. And whether that was on stump or whether that was in a debate, like he wasn't able to deliver lines, much less deal with all the lies and falsehoods that Trump, spouted. And so, it's just like very unfortunate that he couldn't run for a second term. But I think, in the long run, we'll look back and say, yeah, he did, the right thing. Remember, like a month ago, it was all like, oh my God, Trump is going to be the next president.
Yeah, it
I
wasn't
can't
worried.
Yeah, all that doom
Supreme
and gloom.
Court convictions and like everything. Like things are not going well for Democrats. Now, all the momentum, even with the assassination attempt, the sympathy coming out from him, it was hard to see how Democrats could win the election,
Right.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
despite Trump's utter like incompetence and unfitness for the job.
Mm.
Now, all the momentum coming out of this convention will be in the Democrats' favor. And over the next, 2 months, a little over 2 months, we're gonna have that momentum continue forward. Now, there's gonna be a lot of shit that's gonna happen between now and then.
You got that right.
But I think that the race is not only reset, but the momentum is now in Democrats' favor. It's our election to lose. We got to get out and vote.
That's the most important thing that all the American people need to know. And another thing I also wanted to point out about the convention here was I call it more or less the Republican Classic. Now, I can't tell you specific names, but there was a handful of Republicans that actually showed up at this event that also endorsed Kamala Harris. And the reason why I call them a Republican Classic is because they know better enough not to let the disaster that is known as Trump fuck this country up anymore and not put party over country. So they're still Republicans, but they're voting clearly for Kamala Harris, which is the right decision at this point. There is no denying that. You know what I mean? So like that's another thing you also did not see in contrast. There was, let alone the ex-president at the RNC endorsing Trump. You know what I mean? So like these are little things that if you haven't seen it, you will now. You know what I mean? Or yeah, right.
What about RFK Jr.?
Yeah.
Like RFK Jr., like, oh my God. So you guys didn't hear, he is going to be dropping out of the race and endorsing Trump.
Oh, I didn't hear that second part.
Yeah,
Really?
confirming rumors. Well, I mean, one of his relatives, I think, leaked a audio tape, or actually a videotape of RFK Jr., talking to Trump and, saying like, oh, yeah, I'll endorse you if you give me like a cabinet position.
Imagine
Yeah,
though, like just think about that alone right there. Like imagine that. Like that's just so stupid. Like,
his wife is pissed.
Hey, Mr. President, the quid pro quo.
Yeah, he said, "I'll endorse you if you give me a job." Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
like,
you know who his wife is, right?
Refreshing us.
Jr.'s. What's her name? Cheryl from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
No kidding. How about that? I did not know that. Wow.
So I don't know if she'll be getting any more jobs.
Yeah, I think that might be the end there.
Rook, I agree with you. I agree. Going back to a previous point that you were talking about, Rook, I agree with you that once the assassination attempt on Trump happened, I was kind of a low point for a lot of us in the Democratic Party because you were like, oh, now he's going to get the fucking sympathy vote. Because, oh, he had his life threatened. And I believed wholeheartedly, and I still kind of do, that was all set up on Trump's end to have somebody, shoot a bullet at him, whether it was actually someone who was a sniper that kind of nicked him or whether he pulled the WWE move. Oh, or whatever the situation was, I felt like he did that to garner that kind of, martyrism at that point. So, I mean, it felt like the perfect play.
Yeah, and I can see why you would say that, though, just because he is the kind of guy that would do that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So
whether or not he did or didn't, I can see why you're thinking like that, though, because he's that low that he would do something like that.
But now, at this point, I really don't care. Because now I've seen that, like, that boat has turned. Like, we don't even talk about that anymore. So I'm like, all right, cool. Now that's in the past.
Because you don't want to start conspiracy theories either.
We don't have any evidence of that. So
no, we don't.
I think, regardless of whether it was staged or whether it was spontaneous and just happened, Trump immediately knew how to take advantage of it.
Right.
Yeah,
So
He didn't even
and,
hesitate.
like raise his fist in defiance and to fight. Like he immediately, you know, he
Take
immediately went
pictures,
into
put it on
acting mode.
T-shirts, sell it at the next convention.
Yeah, like he immediately went into acting mode and knew exactly how to capitalize on the situation. Like, yeah, Trump is not the smartest person, but his
Far from
instincts
it.
for populism are pretty good. I have to give his instincts for populism and capitalizing on that.
They're pretty good there,
mean,
I guess. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
I don't think you've seen quite anyone like that who doesn't have any of the traditional political skills that you need.
Yeah, but you can't run a
Right,
country
right.
that way.
Well, one thing I
Oh no,
would
he ran the country to the ground once, but
he completely did. Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
to get people to vote for him, stupid people.
I don't get it. What
I
is
don't
in the
either.
water that these people are drinking?
Less informed people maybe, or people with certain
fair.
biases.
See, that's my biggest thing. And
Or
it's
just
got to be people who are
illusionists.
not informed that well. Who,
Yeah.
come home from their hard 9-to-5 job, sit down in front of their TV and see 5 commercials for Yahweh in their local town, and then they see President Trump spitting lies across the TV.
Pretty
Like,
much.
oh yeah, I'm voting for him because he knows what he's talking about.
Well, the
At
one
the
thing
same
I
Yeah, but
time,
it's
they
not
don't
even
know
that
half
they're.
the
It's
truth.
not even so much even that they're uninformed. It's that they don't want to be informed.
Yeah, they'd rather
If
believe
you
that's the
present
other
them
way,
with
too.
a fact, if you present them with a fact, they ain't hearing it.
Yeah, or if they don't like it, then it's not a fact.
Nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
you know what I mean? Which is
They
fucking
just
ridiculous.
deny it.
Yeah.
On a completely separate note, if anyone ever argues with you about the world is flat and everything, I'm like,
Christ.
okay, the world is flat. How did the Japanese come and attack Pearl Harbor? Because they're on the whole other side of the fucking ice wall. They'd have to
The
fly
ice wall.
all
Oh,
the way
Christ.
around to get us in Hawaii. That's the only thing I want to say about that.
But on another note,
That's along the same lines.
I mean, the flat earthers are just another level of stupid.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It felt like
It's
this
just-
is the
it's
same people
entirely.
with Trump.
Why?
It's just like I'm going to vote for Trump, even though he's convicted of 34 and got another 50 some on the way.
And we got three more. Yeah, we got 3 more.
They're Democrats that convicted him. It's right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. That's their mentality.
You just brush it off,
ridiculous.
like there are laws that he clearly violated.
I hope this sets a precedent for anyone who's got the death penalty or going in for stuff like, I'm running for president. Sir, it's not an election year. I don't care. I'm running for president.
That was another
You
thing.
can't put me in jail. I'm running for president.
There was actually 2 other things that now I'm thinking about. I wanted to bring up about the DNC that I thought was also really good. When Kamala was speaking, she was speaking a lot more towards the future. What's to come? What's her plan? What's her policy? What her ideas and concepts are, and how they will affect you, mostly in positive ways, if not entirely. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So that was refreshing to hear. And the other thing that I've been bringing up every so often, even on past episodes, that I thought was great that showed up, I believe it was yesterday, it was Thursday, was, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the Central Park 5, weren't they there? And they spoke very briefly, if I'm not mistaken.
That the one he keeps saying that should have died in prison or been shot or something?
Yes. Because and he still thinks that they should have been killed when science and the DNA test proved that they were innocent and did not do it. You know what I mean? So that, if that doesn't wake people up, I don't think anything will. You know what I mean? You're just trapped in an illusion.
He could do exactly as he said. He could walk out to Fifth Avenue, point a gun at somebody, kill them,
and
be like,
and someone else did it. Yeah,
and
right.
All his followers be like, he didn't do it. You saw him.
Yeah. But I tell you, that's one take that I thought was very refreshing to hear, and I do believe that she could, not only shake things up, but you would see some major differences in positive ways, including women getting their reproductive rights back too. You know what I mean? So it's the contrast can't be any simpler at this point. One candidate is clearly stuck on the past because he's a 50s guy, whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah,
and
the
then
1850s.
you have Kamala that's trying to bring us a brighter, better future. That's the way I see it. You know what I mean? So all in all, in the end, I kind of feel like you can just, if you haven't seen them, you don't even have to watch the whole thing to see it for yourself, but just see it for yourself. Watch the 2 and the difference is uncanny at this point. Like it really is. One was a circus, and another one is trying to point us in a right, positive, better direction. You know what I mean? That was my take on it, at least, all in all, in the end. You know what I mean?
I just wish some of these Trumpers could take a second and reflect on everything that's happened to this point.
Right.
From the grabber by the pussy comments
To where
now.
we are now. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot that has happened in between these two moments, and Trump has, shown his true colors a lot. And for them to still be able to be like, yeah, I'm still voting for Trump. He's my man. It's just like
But he doesn't care
you
about
don't
you,
know who
bro.
you're looking. These people don't. Yeah, it feels like these people just don't know who they're voting for.
Yeah, or they don't
I have-
care, I guess.
I
Yeah.
have faith in all my American people, the Republicans, Democrats, and everything in between.
Right.
These people don't feel like they're there to, celebrate American freedom and democracy. I feel like they're there just to fuck things up.
And it's not going to benefit them. That's the craziest
No,
part. Because
not
he's
at
going to
all.
say it will, but you can't take his word for shit. You know what I mean? Because
Well,
you've
all right,
done this before, and it's
there
just
are
going
a
to
few.
shit.
There are a few who it would benefit. Like, remember that couple that was defending their house, and then they were caught like having a yacht, and they donated a whole bunch of money for Trump and everything.
Okay.
I think you know what I'm talking about, right, Rook?
Yeah.
Vaguely, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was just this like couple or something that were like sent him a bunch of money and like were involved in. I don't know if they were involved in the riot or something along those lines, but yeah, they were pretty fucked up people, and they were rich, and they knew that like, oh yeah, anything he does is going to benefit us. White and rich, I should also point out.
Oh, you know who else I thought spoke very well too? I mean, I'm a little biased because I've been a big fan for a long time, but Bernie Sanders on day one, I believe he came out, and that was cool to see him out there doing his thing. And
I'd love to see him in some kind of a cabinet position, to be able to have some power to enact the things that he talks about, because he talks about a lot of stuff that would help a lot of people.
Yeah, it was good to see him there though too, and he was doing the right. You know what I mean? He was kind of reiterating a lot of what he normally says.
I like Bernie Sanders.
But yeah, that was cool. And I'll tell you another thing about Obama's speech. Now, obviously, you can only serve 2 terms. Now, no pun against Kamala, because, like, don't get me wrong, I'm 100% on board with her. But after hearing Obama speak, part of me was like, damn, why can't we get him back in there again? I was like, damn it, like, why?
Well, technically you could. You have to vote his wife to be president.
Well, I mean, that's the next best thing, realistically. Yeah, I think in the future that's possible.
She gets 2 terms. He's first husband of the fucking White House.
Yeah, because
that'd be pretty cool.
Obama's whole presence being there, though, it just felt like, back in the late 2000s and the early teens, like it just, I don't know, it felt like a great moment again. And I haven't seen it in a little while too.
We had adults in the room at that point. You know what I mean?
That's the $1 million statement right there. It really is.
Adults and great minds.
Yes, exactly.
All under one tent, like all
and
under
thankfully, some
remember when your
left
president
over.
had to start?
Thankfully, some of those people were left over. So when Trump took over, they could like hold the reins for a while. Be like, no, you shouldn't be able to do this. Even though most of them quit, but still.
Yeah, like when him and his wife, when Obama and Michelle spoke, that was, of course, Bernie too. And there's a long list of others. But I'm not going to lie, I did regain some possible lost hope over the past maybe couple of months since maybe even
I'm actually excited to see, where this goes come crunch time. But I don't think it should be this close.
Of course she should be a no-brainer. Yeah,
she should be like 2/3 of the votes for me to be like, all right, things are getting back to normal. I don't want to squeak by with a 57% win. And Trump's there.
57% is a landslide.
Yeah, that's technically a landslide victory if it does.
Yeah, but even if it wasn't, I mean, Trump was still going to call a foul. He's going to call foul regardless of what the outcome is.
Prepare for that because that's going to happen regardless. Even if he wins,
the bigger the gap, the less power that lie has. It's just like, you have like a 14-point gap, so there's no way you won.
And I like the fact, too, that they not even just Kamala, but a majority of the people that spoke, talked about some of the dangers that Project 2025 is going to bring to the table,
Oh, yeah.
like the cutting of Social Security, healthcare, you know what I mean? And the list goes on, even with the reproductive rights, making it nationwide. Like everybody had something to say about it. And they're letting them know that, hey man, this is going to happen if this clown gets in there. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? But if you vote for Kamala, it's not gonna, you know what I mean? She's completely on the other side of the fence with that. If anything, she's trying to reinstate these things, you know?
I hope that when she becomes president, that she goes after the people that made this. You know, there's got to be something illegal with this whole spiel, because I mean, they're pretty much setting it up for like, all right, we're gonna have the whole country take over.
Yeah, kind of.
Everything
you know
to this
I mean?
people
like,
and everything to that. Couldn't you look at that as like potential sabotage or espionage or something? Feels like it's something there that should be like super illegal.
Well, the problem is like they technically can always propose this, but if the people are dumb enough to go for it is another question. You know what I mean? So like, I don't think there really is anything against them coming up with this, you know, crazy, insane plan. But are the people smart enough to know the danger it's going to bring to them? But of course, they're going to polish a turd, but it's still a piece of shit, you know?
Oh, it's
you know what I mean?
It's an absolute fucking turd.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So like, you got to be able to read within the lines when it comes to Republicans. But this is a very historical point in this country, though, you realize, because Godspeed, hopefully Kamala wins. She would be the first woman president this country's ever seen. Yeah,
and it's funny
that's another major landmark for this country.
And it's funny that should be a major point. Yeah. And it's so overlooked due to the fact that it's like democracy versus dictatorship.
Yeah,
you know,
that's like
the big ticket item. It's just like, fuck the fact that she's a woman.
Yeah.
Like, that's not
no, I hear you on that
C.
too. I just kind of thought of that. She would be the first president, the first female president. Yeah, like that's major too. But that means we're growing. This country's finally, you know, growing. So
most of us, at least. Seems like some of us are still stuck in the you know, olden times,
the 50s. Yeah, and they want to drag us back there.
Or the, you know, no offense to those out there, but bang, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's unreal.
The backwoods.
You know?
I'm excited where everything is going with this right now. I hope we don't have any, you know, big speed bumps along the way, and anything that, you know, does come up gets ironed out quickly. But yeah, I mean, I still have a little bit of fear because it shouldn't be this close with a criminal, you know, and the thing. Everyone should say no when they see that, but they don't. So that's what scares me the most.
I hear you.
But good vibes. We got good vibes.
You know, and Godspeed.
Yeah.
It was just a great celebration, the DNC, of, you know, Democrats past, present, and our future.
Yeah, all coming together.
And I'll leave you one more thing that Bill Clinton said, but I thought his speech was masterful. You know, how he said, you know, over the past, since the Cold War, you know, 51 million jobs were created. And he said like multiple times, and I had to fact check this, but, you know, how many jobs were created? What's the score? You know, how many jobs were created by Democrats and Republicans? He said Democrats are winning 50-1 in terms of millions of jobs created by either Democrats or Republicans.
I knew it was high, but I didn't know it was like that.
Yeah, like he's like I couldn't believe it, but I checked it over.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
I mean, it's clear that only one party has, you know, a track record of delivering for the people, and one party just obfuscates and complains and tries to, you know, trash everything. And, you know, let's elect the right people for the job.
Exactly.
Please, yes.
And the most qualified, which would be Kamala Harris in that case.
Is basically the only one qualified, but okay.
Yeah, out of the two. All right, and that's all we got for this week, everyone. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next week. We're not going back. Peace.
Peace.